Part 16. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 151. As the angels got closer to the somewhat disharmonious star system, they also discovered anomalies. Some of the planets in the star system showed signs of being destructively mined. Destructive mining is an extremely violent resource collection method that does not care about the integrity of the planet. Generally, only civilizations that have just entered the aerospace level will do this. However, the universe is so big that there may be exceptions, so Qian immediately ordered. Sisters, be careful. There may be an unknown civilization here. Be prepared to deal with unexpected battles at any time. Tianchuang, you immediately turn on the information shielding. Sisters, prepare to sneak in. As a scientific research angel, Tianchuang was on a mission to leave the realm of Angel Nebula, so she was naturally fully prepared. Tianchuang stopped flying and hovered there, with his hands manipulating a miniature complex model projected, while a series of emotionless voices sounded in the communication channel. Several of the known detection methods of the angel civilization were within the shielding range. After the angel Skyfrost was completed, a group of female angels flew towards the star system again. This is one of the advantages of the angel civilization. The angel civilization has the very special supergenetic technology of angel wings. Being able to soar through the universe without relying on external objects greatly reduces the risk of angel civilization being detected by conventional means. Following the band signal emitted by the dark silver mine, the girls passed several planets with missing corners and began to fly towards the largest planet. This is an earth-yellow rocky planet, wrapped in an extremely thin layer of atmosphere. As the angels burst into the atmosphere, what comes into view are the sharp peaks standing on the ground, like sharp peaks pointing straight into the sky. Like a thorn. It's so desolate here. Not even a single plant grows. This is normal. The planet's atmosphere is not strong enough to support life, and we haven't seen any water sources after flying for so long. It is estimated that the planet's atmosphere will completely dissipate soon. Hearing the size of the female angels in the team, Tianchuang, the only scientific angel, began to explain, and then Tianchuang looked happy. It's true that we found dark silver mine reaction ahead. We found dark silver. Before Tianchuang could finish his words, Qian reached out and grabbed the light armor at the back and lifted him up. A harsh sound broke through the air, and a thick silver light passed by Tianchuang's original position. If Qian hadn't reacted quickly and lifted Tianchuang up, Tianchuang would have been hit. Get ready to fight. There are enemies. The angel warriors who had gathered together immediately dispersed, holding the war spear tightly with one hand, holding up the silver shield with the other hand to block half of their bodies, and looked around constantly. Suddenly the ground began to tremble, as if something heavy hit the ground, and a dozen giant figures stepped quickly towards the end of the horizon. Qian's expression became extremely solemn, because each of those figures was 7 or 8 meters tall and wore ancient-looking armor with special symbols engraved on it. The other angels in the team were all the same. Some of the angels had a bigger reaction, their bodies were so tense that they couldn't even take a breath. Yinga was also extremely nervous. She had just joined the border guard army and had little combat experience, so her hands holding the spear and shield were trembling because those things were so big that she felt like they were moving. The same as the mountain peaks. Ziluo was different from others. Her eyes, which were covered by the mask, were almost shining. There was no fear at all. The enemy she had been waiting for finally appeared. There were a total of 13 giant humanoid creatures holding silver spears and carrying giant swords and battle axes on their backs. They stopped more than 200 meters away from a group of angels. When they got closer, the angels discovered that these giants were humanoid in shape, with thick long hair on the skin exposed outside the armor. However, looking at their strong bodies, the power contained in them was definitely not weak. Qian was about to open his mouth to see if he could negotiate, but saw the giants standing among all the giants suddenly let out an unknown roar. Then the giants showed hatred on their faces and rushed towards them, shouting the words godly river with unknown meaning. For a moment, there was a continuous roar in the air, which was the heavy footsteps of these giants running on the ground. We are not intruders. Qi Yan was still shouting in an attempt to resolve the conflict, but it was of no use because the giants couldn't understand him at all. The giants who suddenly ran up raised their spears above their heads. Qi Yan's pupils shrank and he shouted quickly, "Get out of the way." After Qi Yan shouted, he quickly flapped his wings and climbed upwards. The next moment, more than a dozen silver spears with a diameter of almost 1 meter in diameter and about 10 meters in length shot out. Because the incident happened suddenly, and Qi Yan's shouting only served as a reminder, when the angels scattered to avoid it, a female angel newly added to the team reacted half a beat too slowly. With a bang, the female angel was knocked out by the giant spear on the spot and smashed into the ground. She did not know whether she was alive or dead. The pretty face behind the red smoke mask was cold, and the flaming sword pointed at the giants who were rushing over. "Take action against us angels, sisters, come on. Captain, couldn't you have said so earlier?" As soon as Qi Yan finished speaking, 11 Luo took the lead and rushed out, leaving a spreading ring of air behind him, spreading murderous intent like a raptor aiming for prey. Qi Yan felt uneasy when she saw 11 Luo rushing so quickly. "Yao, Minjian, go and cover Ziluo. Yinga, go see how Luo Hua is doing." After saying that, Qi Yan led the remaining female angel warriors and rushed towards the giants. Although there was fear on their faces, there was no fear. Ziluo held the shield in his hand and brought up a surge of air. He randomly picked one of the dozen giants and rushed towards it. These giants spoke a language that Ziluo could not understand, and they all drew out the 5 to 6 meter long giant swords or battle axes behind their backs and struck at Ziluo. However, Ziluo just deflected in the air and easily avoided the giant sword that was coming at him. Then he let out a sweet shout and used the impact force of the war spear in his hand to stab forward fiercely. Poof, bright red and hot blood splashed on Ziluo's faceplate, but Ziluo did not stop and immediately pulled out his war spear, kicked the giant's body away from him with both feet, and avoided the palm that he grabbed. In the short moment when Ziluo fought with the giant, Qi Yan and other female angels also fought fiercely with other giants. Boom! A circle of airflow surged around. Qi Yan held up the flaming sword with both hands and directly withstood the battle axe chopped down by a giant, shocking the giant. "You're so powerful. You didn't grow so big in vain." Qi Yan gritted his teeth and finished speaking, then pushed the blocking sword upward, and then stroked the blade of the flaming sword with his left palm. The next moment, the blade of the flaming sword began to light up with a dazzling light, which represented the flaming sword. The dark energy-driven sacred language inscribed on it has been activated. A staggering giant who was pushed up by Qi Yan's great strength looked at the little Kamigawa creature in front of him in amazement, but then he became angry and struck Qi Yan again with the battle axe that made a small gap. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 152. The giant who chopped off the battle axe in his hand turned from annoyed to horrified at the next moment, because Qi Yan hit the flaming sword with a wave of his hand, and actually knocked the huge battle axe out of the giant's hand. It was cut in half from the axe blade upward. Then Qi Yan immediately pounced on the giants without hesitation. Even though he didn't know which civilization these giants belonged to, in this case, he wanted to kill them first. The giant quickly dodged to avoid it, but its huge body could not fly as fast as angel red smoke. The next moment, the giant felt a chill on his neck, and hot blood spurted out like a high-pressure water pump. Qi Yan flapped his wings and retreated slightly to avoid the splashing blood rain, so as not to let the blood of these giants stain his body, and spoke with a slightly shocked expression. "The amount of bleeding is so huge. It's the strengthening system of animal civilization. Angel Qian should be shocked. In the database of angel civilization, there are very few records about some powerful animal civilizations. However, one thing is a unique characteristic of the powerful beast civilization, that is, the physical quality is extremely strong. It is not the strength of the super warriors of the angel civilization, but pure physical strength. In the final analysis, super soldiers are just the product of highly developed genetic technology. Compared with ordinary lives, super soldiers are more like strengthening or transforming themselves, rather than natural evolution. And as the technical level of the super warriors breaks through again and again, the super warriors are no longer just pure life forms, but more like humanoid weapons composed of countless cell-sized genetic computers, relying on the almost unlimited light energy and energy of the material world. Other energies maintain their own strength. Different from pure animal civilizations, they are purely physically powerful and rely on the accumulation of time to evolve themselves step by step, and finally form a body that can adapt to various harsh environments in the universe and organs that can control dark energy. Of course, according to Qian's observation, the dozen giants who appeared here are obviously not advanced beast body civilizations. At most, they are just civilizations that have evolved to primary beast bodies. Not much is known about other red smokes, because the records themselves are very vague, and the angel civilization is not weak in the surrounding galaxies, so there is not much research on this unfamiliar system. Qian easily solved a giant, but the other angel warriors were far behind. A generation of veteran warriors in the team can rely on speed and flexibility to fight against giants, but the situation is different for several new recruits who have just joined the team. A new recruit who had just joined the team panicked and dodged the giant's sword slashing down, but his body in flight was affected by the turbulent air current and became unstable. Before the angel recruit could stabilize her body and speed up again, the giant's slap that was bigger than her entire body came over. In an instant, the angel recruit was shot away like a discarded rag doll, smashing a small crater into the hard rock ground. The white angel wings rubbed against the ground, covering it with a layer of dirty dust. The war spear and shield originally held in his hand also fell aside, and then there was no response. But it was obvious that the giant who had slapped the angel warrior away did not let go of her thoughts. He stepped towards the unconscious angel warrior and prepared to strike. Minjian. An angel who was familiar with the female angel who was photographed flying away shouted anxiously and was about to rush over to rescue her. However, the giant who was fighting with this angel would not just let this angel warrior go to rescue the angel named Mingyan. Dodging the sweeping battle axe, the female angel rushed directly towards the giant closest to Mingyan who was preparing to hit him. But suddenly the giant who was about to give Mingyan the final blow suddenly turned around, as if he had been waiting for the other angels to take the bait, and swung the giant's sword in his hand horizontally. During a moment of fighting with the angels, the giant also discovered that these flying Kamigawa creatures were very flexible, so instead of using the giant sword in his hand to perform hard-to-hit slashes, he turned into horizontal strikes that affected a wider range. Facing the 2 to 3 meter long sword, the female angel quickly retracted her wings and dropped to avoid it, but what greeted her was the deadly axe blade slashed horizontally by another giant behind her. A heart-wrenching metal creaking sound was heard. The light armor on the female angel was slightly deformed by the giant axe blade. The huge force caused the angel to be chopped away like a cannonball. A standing stone pillar was broken. Qian also saw this scene, but she couldn't escape and go to the rescue because she was facing the leader of these giants at the moment. Although this leading giant's height and attire are similar to those of other giants, he has rich combat experience. Although he is not as agile as Qian flying in the air, the giant's sword in his hand can always accurately intercept Qian who tries to get close to his body. Ziluo, who had been extremely confident in the previous chat, was now in a tough fight. Although on the surface it seemed that Ziluo was playing with the giant, only Ziluo knew the actual situation. These giants are very big, and the war spears equipped by the border guard angels cannot cause much harm to these big men at all. It is like stabbing a strong man with a needle. In addition to making him yell angrily, he can only let some blood flow. At this moment, an extremely dense sound of heavy footsteps came from a distance, and at the same time, there were 3 giant battleships in the sky that looked very ancient and backward. It is really ancient and backward, like a pointed warship made of metal that drives on the water, but now it is suspended in the air. Upon seeing this, the angel Qian immediately broke away from the fight with the giant and retreated while shouting in the dark communication channel. "Take the injured sisters and let's leave the star system immediately." After speaking, Qian leaned over and rushed out with a flaming sword, knocking back a giant who was walking toward Mingyan. Then he reached out and hugged the unconscious Mingyan on the ground, and then quickly climbed up into the sky. Ziluo gritted her teeth unwillingly. She also saw the giants coming for support on the horizon. She knew that there would be absolutely no benefit from staying here. After easily breaking away from the giants, she turned around and flew in the direction of Yinga. Yinga had been assigned the rescue mission by Qian from the beginning, thereby avoiding a direct battle with the giant, so at the moment, she was holding 2 injured and unconscious angels between her arms, her face was red and she was trying to fly upward. "Yinga, let me help you. Follow the captain and leave here quickly." Ziluo flew over and took an injured female angel from Yinga's arm, and then chased the angel Qian with Yinga. When the 7 or 8 giants still alive on the ground saw the angel team escaping, they all thought that their side had won, so they raised their weapons and shouted excitedly, "Titan! Titan!" Listening to the deafening cheers coming from below, the morale of Qian, 11 Luo and a dozen angels was not very high, because they were the ones who failed to escape. Even if the giant support troops did not arrive, with the combat effectiveness of their 4 combat teams, victory would be at a high price. Until the abnormal star system was reduced to the size of a palm, the group of angels did not see the giants chasing after them, so the tense nerves of the angels finally relaxed. Now let's report our respective situations. Starting from me, Qian survives and Mingyan survives. Yao survives. If Ye survives. 11 Luo survives, Luo Hua survives. Yinga survives, Minjian survives. Yunyi survives. Linglan survives. Lanling survives. Tianchuang survives. After the 17th angel announced his name, no angel's voice could be heard. All the angels already knew in their hearts that they would never hear the voices of these sisters again. Even Ziluo, who was usually the most active, felt a little depressed at the moment. As for Yinga, she started sobbing quietly. As the most prestigious among the angels, Qian felt self-blame and regret in his heart. He should have ordered a retreat earlier, otherwise no sisters would have died. It's all my fault. If we had gone back and reported it immediately after detecting the dark silver mine, several sisters wouldn't have had to sacrifice. Tianchuang's sobbing voice sounded in the ears of the angels. "Tianchuang, I don't blame you, it's just that our power is not strong enough." Finally, Qian, whose eyes were sore, gritted his teeth and spoke word by word. "Fell sisters, I, the angel Qian, swear here that I will definitely report this matter to the Queen. None of these giants can escape the sanctions of the Sky Sword Legion." Angel Qian's clenched teeth words echoed in the dark communication channels of all the surviving female angels at this moment. At this moment, they all agreed with Qian's words. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 153. You said you discovered a dark silver mine. In the deserted cosmic belt outside the Angel Nebula. Binghua's expression sometimes frowned and sometimes relaxed. It was obvious that the news was extremely important. After listening to the news, Binghua sat on the throne and fell into deep thought. The other side of the secret communication just now was Angel Fenghua, the commander of the Border Guard Army. She reported that one of the exploration teams sent out discovered an abnormal star system in the deserted cosmic belt outside the Angel Nebula. The scientific research angels in the team detected a dark silver mine reaction in that star system, so a total of 21 angel warriors from the exploration team went to the star system for final confirmation and exploration. As a result, an unknown civilization was encountered in which star system? The two sides did not understand each other's language, so it was impossible to confirm which civilization the other party was. However, according to the report of the team leader who returned, the unknown civilization was very hostile to the angels and directly launched an attack on us without any intention to negotiate. A total of 4 angel warriors died in the hands of the unknown civilization. Because the numerical gap between the two sides was too large, the angel team reported the situation immediately after returning to the border guard base. Binghua put his hand on his smooth chin and murmured. Unknown civilization, dark silver mine, directly attack without any intention of negotiation, this is getting more and more interesting. However, the soldiers of the Sky Sword Legion cannot fall into the hands of these guys without any reason. After clearing her thoughts, Bingtian directly contacted the military commander under her command, the left-wing guard Angel Ran, and ordered in a tone that suited the king. Ran, mobilize 10,000 Sky Sword Legions, 1 Sky Blade, and 5 Sky Sword ships for me. Yes, Queen. Angel Ran replied subconsciously, but something felt wrong. Couldn't help but ask. Queen, what happened? It's nothing, I just went to deal with some blind guys and get something that should belong to me. Wen Yan Ran also understood why the Queen issued such an order. It was not a secret that the Border Guard Regiment's team that went out to explore special ores was attacked by an unknown civilization. It should be said that in the female angel group, except for a few things that only Binghua, Kesha, Hexi, Liangbing and other angel queens know, most of the other things are not confidential. As long as you are willing to look them up in the database, you can find relevant information. The Queen issued an order, asking all angel teams to go to the docking port of Skyblade No. 09 and wait for the Queen's next order. At this moment, all the Heavenly Sword Legion combat teams mobilized by Angel Ran heard this broadcast in the dark communication channel, and repeated it every few seconds. For a time, in a part of the Heavenly Sword Legion station in the Skull Star system, the female angels began to take action, preparing their armor and extracting combat weapons in an orderly manner. After all preparations were completed, each team of 5 people formed a team. Under the leadership of the captain, they merged with other teams, and then flew towards the port where the 09 Skyblade was parked. For a time, the sky above the stationed base was filled with angels spreading their wings. By the time Binghua arrived at the port where Skyblade No. 09 was parked, a total of 10,000 angel warriors had already lined up in order, and at the same time they raised their hands on their chests and saluted and shouted Queen. Binghua also nodded to them, and then went straight to the Skyblade battleship parked there. Some female angels couldn't bear the excitement in their hearts, and said excitedly to the sisters around them in the private communication channel. The Queen nodded to me just now, did you see it? The Queen also nodded to me. This is the first time I saw the Queen so close. Before these angels could get excited for a long time, the order to board the ship rang out, and instantly 10,000 angels began to board the Skyblade and 5 Sky Sword assault ships. Now push No. 09 Tianran out of the docking port. With the sound of machinery running, several metal interception pillars with a diameter of tens of meters that were originally blocked outside the berthing port began to move to one side and opened. The Skyblade also flew outward simultaneously, followed by 5 Sky Sword assault ships. After the Skyblade left the docking port for some distance, new orders echoed throughout the Skyblade. Now start preparing for a large space jump, targeting the edge of the Mir galaxy. The cosmic space in front of the sky blade suddenly fluctuated like water, then twisted and shattered, revealing a vertical black giant mouth. Binghua, who was sitting on the throne in the conference hall inside the Skyblade battleship, felt the light above his head dim slightly, and soon an angel came from below to report. "Queen, we have reached the edge of the Mir galaxy through the space wormhole. Do you want to go to the border guard base?" Binghua raised his hand to signal no need, go directly to the target location immediately, otherwise if those beings escape, our trip will be in vain. Since you dare to take action against angels, you must be aware of being judged by angels. He was ordered to proceed at full speed towards the star system where the exploration team encountered an unknown civilization. "Yes, Queen, I'll go right away." The female angel below bowed her head again and saluted, and then left with a look of reverence on her face. The Skyblade battleship, which was like a sharp sword hanging upside down and emitting a sacred aura, began to fly in one direction. The 5 Skyblade assault ships following it also turned their direction, and the rear booster engines sprayed blue flames at full force, following closely behind. Binghua's purpose in sending troops this time was threefold. The first is to stand up for the innocent deaths of soldiers under his command at the hands of an unknown civilization. The second is to look for dark silver mines. The last purpose was to test the reality of this unknown civilization, so Binghua brought a small Skyblade fleet and 10,000 Skysword Legion soldiers. Otherwise, just to annihilate the unknown civilization warriors reported by the exploration team, it would be enough to send out a few Skysword ships and 2,000 warriors. Time passed quickly during the Skyblade's voyage. In addition to the necessary command and dispatch, Binghua had been sitting on the throne and began to analyze the flame bombardment created by Kaisha, trying to learn some of its energy concentration methods and use them in some of his own in the means of attack. Because the exploration team retreated in a hurry and did not have time to measure the space node data there, the Skyblade was unable to carry out large-scale space jumps and jump navigation, and could only rely on the Skyblade's cruising speed to fly slowly over. It wasn't until the 10th day that the somewhat unusual star system reported by the exploration team finally appeared within the Skyblade's detection range. The next step is simple. Now that the position has been determined, all you need to do is go there. The supercomputer on board the Skyblade only spent more than 10 minutes to complete the calculation of the space nodes of the target star system location. Then the Skyblade immediately started a short-distance space jump, and together with the 5 Skyswords following it, they disappeared in the vertical pupil-shaped space rift in an instant. The next moment, on the outskirts of the star system where the Xian team encountered those giants, a space in the universe suddenly distorted, and then a vertical pupil-shaped black crack appeared. Then the Skyblade and 5 Skyswords flew out of it at high speed and headed into the star system. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 154. Queen. We have reached the target star system and are now heading to the target planet. We are expected to approach the outside of the target planet's atmosphere in 5 minutes. Hearing this, Binghua opened her dark eyes that had been tightly closed, and the body that was leaning on the throne behind her straightened up again, as if it suddenly regained its vitality. "Are you here already? It's pretty fast." Binghua stood up from the throne and moved her body. She felt that time passed quite quickly. Binghua didn't feel the passage of time at all during this period, but she had not spent these 10 days in vain. She has almost dismantled the principle of flame bombing and the energy operation formula. Binghua has been able to apply this energy operation formula to thunder drive or other attack methods. This can be said to make up for Binghua's one shortcoming is the lack of instant destructive power. "Queen, what are you doing?" The guarding angel below, who had come to report the situation on a routine basis, saw Binghua leaving the throne and spoke in confusion. "This time I plan to do it myself and see how the beast civilization fights. Follow me to the platform." After speaking, Binghua walked out of the conference hall first, the silver cloak behind him shaking slightly as he walked forward. The guardian angel wanted to speak out to dissuade him, but thinking about the rumors about the queen, he had no choice but to give up. Outside the atmosphere of the huge earth-yellow rocky planet, when the Skyblade battleship approaches the planet, I believe that anyone who is not blind can see such a large combat celestial body approaching. The unknown civilization on the planet was no exception. On the spot, 4 giant battleships with a length of several kilometers and a dozen battleships with a length of several hundred meters flew out of the atmosphere and faced the Skyblade battleship, and then suddenly without warning. Fire! The surging energy fluctuations gathered in the huge muzzles exposed at the front of the pointed warships, and then were compressed and shot out in a way that the angelic civilization had never seen before. The golden beam was like a shining beam of countless lightnings coming together, hitting the shield of the Skyblade on the spot. For a time, the strength of the Skyblade's large light energy barrier immediately dropped by several percentage points. This surprised the angels who were controlling the Skyblade, because the power of this attack was almost close to that of a miniature Star Destroyer's strike. The attack just now was just the beginning, and then the remaining dozens of warships of the opponent opened fire at the same time, and several golden lightning rays shot out at the same time. Of course, the Skyblade is not a vegetarian. As a combat celestial body, it naturally has no shortage of firepower. The next moment, like a goddess scattering flowers, thousands of light spears scattered out, covering the entire range of the opponent's fleet. The next moment, continuous flashes of violent explosions filled Binghua's vision, like several giant flash bombs exploding in the universe at the same time. But after the light faded, Binghua, who was standing on the Tianren platform, saw the enemy's rough-looking pointed warship. Although the surface armor was damaged, it was not a serious problem at all. Solid armor. It is indeed different from the technological system of our angelic civilization. The construction style of celestial battleships of the angel civilization is generally to transform the mountains on the surface of the planet, or directly to use small celestial bodies in space. Therefore, whether it is the Tiangong flagship of Hui Group or the series of Tianren battleships under Binghua, they are usually a mixture of rock, soil, and metal. This can greatly shorten the construction period and cost of the celestial battleship, and also maintain the natural beauty, so that the angels above can enjoy the feeling of living on a living planet without affecting the combat effectiveness. However, this has resulted in the angel civilization's celestial warships mainly using energy shields. Although the external armor is also extremely strong, it is generally not used. But now the unknown civilization battleship that Binghua encountered was obviously not of the same system style as Angel. The outside is a rough metallic color, and the whole thing looks like a pointed warship sailing into the starry sky, full of a violent sense of technology. Judging from the traces of being hit by the spear of light on the battleship, the armor of this battleship is extremely thick and can withstand tons of attacks without being penetrated. Generally speaking, this kind of warship is the natural enemy of physical weapons and has great resistance to conventional energy weapons, but its weaknesses are also obvious. After the angels on the Skyblade discovered that the attack of the spear of light had little effect, they immediately changed their attack method, and the Skyblade's main cannon began to charge energy. The orange-red energy vortex gathered in front of Tianren's ship, and then, under the constraints of the special energy magnetic field, turned into a 100-meter thick orange-red beam and shot out, instantly hitting an enemy ship. The moment the high-temperature rays reaching millions of degrees hit the enemy warship, the armor of the warship began to turn red quickly, and then in less than 2 seconds, the warship was burned with a huge hole by the concentrated stellar energy. Come out. After the orange-red beam emitted by the Skyblade dissipated, the warship with an extra hole did not explode. Instead, it flashed with traces of energy arcs and stopped moving forward. Seeing this, the remaining 3 giant battleships suddenly stopped moving forward and began to turn around, sailing back into the atmosphere. It seemed that they did not expect that the attack power of the Skyblade would be so strong, so they chose to retreat. However, Binghua felt that the matter was not that simple and directly ordered the pursuit. So 1 Skyblade and 5 Sky Swords followed the opponent's fleet and broke into the atmosphere of the planet that suddenly became lively. For a while, a fierce pursuit battle took place. Tianren kept biting behind the opponent's fleet and activated its main gun from time to time. The other party had no intention of negotiating. Fortunately, Binghua gave up on trying to capture the other party and directly ordered to kill them all, firing with all their strength without holding back. For a time, huge explosions continued to rise on the surface of the planet, easily changing the original landform of the planet, creating countless small basins hundreds of meters in diameter. Finally, after the pursuit lasted for more than half an hour, a huge building appeared at the end of the horizon. It has a rough style, with thick metal branches grafted together, covering a range of more than 10 kilometers, like a giant metal beast lying on the ground. At this moment, a beam of golden thunder shot out from the direction of the metal building in the distance. Like a golden spear of lightning, it penetrated the real-time calculation shield of Tianren in one fell swoop. A dark scorch mark was left on it. When Binghua, who was standing on the platform, saw this scene, her dark eyes narrowed slightly because she saw an extremely interesting scene. On the horizon in the distance, there is a giant about 30 meters tall, wearing a luxurious and thick golden armor, with a pair of pointed helmets extending from his forehead, standing there. The next moment, I saw the other party roaring in the direction of the Skyblade, golden thunder emerged around it, and at the same time, dark clouds began to appear in the sky. There are some secondary settings in this book, which may be slightly different from the original work, so please bear with me. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 155. Report to the Queen, the surrounding magnetic field strength has begun to surge, and if this continues, it will affect the flight of the Skyblade. Binghua felt that he had come to the right place. The giant whose roar could be transmitted hundreds of kilometers away was definitely not something that ordinary second-generation angels could deal with. I understand, let the Skyblade start to take off and leave this area, and then all the angel warriors will attack. After Binghua finished speaking, the angel wings behind him instantly spread out and flapped their wings to leave the Skyblade platform at his feet. Then Binghua said to the guarding angel below without looking back. You guardian angels don't need to follow me. I have a task for you. Lead the Heavenly Sword Legion to destroy all the enemy's warships and facilities. If there are any resistors, you don't need to report them all. Just destroy them all. After saying that, Binghua instantly turned into a stream of white light wrapped in blue thunder, shooting in the direction of the golden armor giant on the horizon. Boom! The sky became dark, and rolling dark clouds blocked the sunlight in the sky. Golden lightning flashed from time to time among the thick clouds, as if they wanted to crush the earth. Suddenly a white light shot out and stopped more than 100 meters away from the golden armor giant. It was the flying ice flower. You are from that civilization, why do you appear around the Angel Nebula? Binghua was suspended in mid-air at eye level with the golden armor giant. His tone could not be described as gentle, but instead sounded like a question. Creatures of Kamigawa, as mortal enemies, there is no need for us to communicate. Accept the wrath of our Titan civilization. My superior Titan Leo Good will destroy everything you have here today to pay homage to the fallen souls of my Titan clan. The deafening voice came from the mouth of the golden armor giant with only his face exposed, echoing in the surrounding air, as if it had its own loudspeaker. Hey, you have to look carefully at who I am when you speak. I am an angel. Who is the Kamigawa creature you are talking about? Are you mistaken? Binghua felt that there was something wrong with the other person's brain. Why did he look so sworn in after just a few words? Binghua remembered that this was the first time he had seen such a huge creature. Stop quibbling, I will never forget your hairless faces. Although you have an extra pair of wings on your back, there is no doubt that you are a creature from the Kamigawa, so you will be annihilated by the natural power of heaven and earth. The golden armor giant who called himself the Titan clan had no intention of paying any attention to Binghua. He was talking to himself. At the same time, the golden lightning in the sky also began to become active. Binghua also noticed something was wrong. The guy in front of him who claimed to be a Titan showed no sign of starting the genetic engine. So where did the golden lightning in the surrounding sky come from? This is the known material universe, not some mysterious side universe. Boom! The golden lightning in the dark clouds above Binghua's head seemed to be attracted by something. The next moment, it suddenly struck down, gathered in the raised hand of the golden armored Titan, and was constrained into a shape similar to a spear. Binghua was secretly stunned. This was a bit fantasy. She could control lightning. She wondered if she had traveled through time again. However, Binghua's good fighting qualities did not surprise him for too long. His body instantly flashed to one side, and the next moment the mountain-like Titan thrust down the golden lightning restrained into a spear in his hand. Boom! Golden electric light splashed everywhere, and a large hole of tens of meters was directly blasted out of the ground. The strong flash made Binghua couldn't help but turn his face away and raised his hands to cover his face. The next moment, the Titan who claimed to be from the Titan civilization strode forward, bathed in golden shining thunder, and rushed towards the ice flower with deafening thunder. Binghua's eyes twitched, and he flapped his wings fiercely. The whole figure flew into the sky, avoiding the golden armored Titan that looked like it was crashing into a hill. Is Skyblade here? Tell me who this big guy in golden armor is and what the golden lightning around here is like. After escaping the attack, Binghua immediately contacted the Skyblade battleship, because she first needed to understand what this golden armored Titan was and how the surrounding golden thunderstorms were formed. Queen, let's start analyzing now. The communication was hung up, and Binghua refocused his attention on the golden armored Titan below. Liu Gude below saw the Kamigawa creature hiding in the sky despicably, and was very angry when he refused to duel with him. However, as a high-ranking Titan of the Titan civilization, Liu Gude naturally has no shortage of means to deal with enemies in the air. He raised his giant palm covered with golden arm guards and gauntlets, and the biological energy in his body began to stir, and golden colors emerged from the horns on his forehead. Of electric light. The next moment, Liu Gude was like a lightning rod. Dozens of golden lightning struck down from the rolling black sky, all of which hit the sky-facing horns on his forehead. Then Liu Gude pointed his horns in the direction of Binghua, then lowered his head and roared. The next moment, 7 or 8 lightning streams with a thickness of 1 meter struck the ice flower hundreds of meters above the ground. By the time Binghua reacts, it's too late to dodge. Rather, with lightning's attack speed, when you see it, it means you have been hit. An ear-splitting roar resounded throughout the sky, accompanied by a stream of golden lightning that resembled a group of snakes dancing wildly. Seeing this scene, Liu Gude below was extremely excited and burst into laughter that could hurt other people's eardrums. Suddenly there was a dense scream in the air, and hundreds of silver swords shot down from the sky, covering Liu Gude like a hill below. A jingling sound was heard continuously, and the long sword that was originally aimed at Liu Gude's only exposed face was all bounced away by the thick golden arm guard raised by Liu Gude, leaving only some minor scratches and dents. Of course, this small one is only compared to Liu Gude. After all, the 30-meter tall body is there, and the 1-meter long sword in Binghua's arsenal is not much bigger than a toothpick in front of him. You're not dead. Liu Gude's voice was obviously a little surprised, and as if to confirm his words, Binghua's voice came from the sky. I thought it was something. It turned out to be just lightning that changed colors. Fortunately, I was shocked just now. Binghua folded his hands around his chest and flapped his wings behind his back, floating in the air unscathed. What was different from before was that at this moment, Binghua was surrounded by leaping blue lightning and dozens of floating long swords. There are still some golden arcs on the sword that have not dissipated. Just before Liu fired the golden lightning stream below, Tianren gave the analysis results of Liu in time. Analysis of the scan results showed that Liu did not have any super genes in his body, nor did he have a dark plane firewall, so Tianren easily scanned his whole body and came up with a result that surprised Binghua. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 156. The analysis results show that Liu, the guy below who is about 30 meters tall, wearing golden armor and calling himself a titan, is a complete life of flesh and blood and has not received any super gene enhancement. At the same time, the opponent's body has a network that can store dark energy to a certain extent, a body tissue similar to blood vessels, and the horns on its head are not decorations. They are a very special dark energy organ that can control the surrounding environment to a certain extent. Magnetic field. And those golden lightnings are produced from this. In fact, they are just ordinary lightning. The light in the dark clouds has been specially refracted, so the color tends to be golden. Therefore, it is actually just ordinary natural lightning, but there is also a small amount of lightning mixed in. Of special dark energy. Therefore, when Liu's golden lightning stream hit, Binghua immediately activated the thunder drive. Binghua, who had already experienced avoiding thunderstorms, easily defused the lightning stream that hit him, and rewarded him with a reward. There was a hail of swords from Liu. It has to be said that Liu, who calls himself a titan, is unlucky. The energy contained in the wave of lightning just now can definitely easily kill a third-generation warrior. Even a first-generation god body owner will not feel comfortable. But he happened to meet Binghua, who had a lot of research on this. So the moment the previous lightning flow struck, Binghua used the thunder drive to deflect the direction of the golden lightning flow, and then used his long sword as a diversion completely neutralized the blow. But looking at Liu's golden full body armor that covered his whole body and seemed to be more than half a meter thick from the outside, Binghua had a toothache. She now understood a little bit about the opponent's behavior when she first wore through the military armor and fought against Sokka. I'm in a mood, this is just a super turtle shell, there's nowhere to start. However, Binghua was not helpless. It would be better to say that she got along surprisingly well with such a large enemy. Binghua's lips slightly raised and she looked very confident. With a thought, Binghua began to calculate the thunder drive in his mind, and began to rob Liu of the right to control the thunder clouds in the sky. Liu below, as a master of playing with thunder, naturally noticed the small movements of the ice flower in the sky. For a moment, golden arcs flashed all over his body, like a big eye-catching light bulb. Oh, is this how you use dark energy? Using part of the dark energy to induce changes in the surrounding environment is, to a certain extent, similar to energy-driven algorithms. While Binghua maintained his thunder drive, he was also distractedly observing the way Liu's energy was running. From Binghua's perspective, surging dark energy surged out from the gaps in Liu's armor, turning into an appearance similar to a golden arc. At the same time, it emits a special energy magnetic field, which like a magnet causes the positive and negative charges on the ions in the air to collide wildly, producing brilliant golden currents. The rolling thunder clouds above Binghua's head had changed owners at this moment and were completely under her control. Blue thunder clouds were swimming among them, and they would bring devastating thunderstorms to the earth at any time. Dozens of kilometers away from the battlefield, a large number of angels were fighting a huge number of giants. Because of the disparity in numbers, the angels had the absolute upper hand overall. Each giant was besieged by a team of angels who cooperated tacitly. Facing the extremely flexible angels, the giants' attacks were extremely weak. Because the Sky Sword Legion is more elite than the Border Guard Legion, and most of them are veterans who have been on the battlefield, it is not easy to deal with these powerful but slow-moving giants. But no angels or giants came close to the thundercloud area covering more than 20 kilometers, because the roar from time to time was like the roar of nature, warning all weak creatures not to approach that area. As if it was almost ready, Leogood, who called himself a titan, roared towards the sky and waved his arm forward at the same time. The next moment, more than a dozen golden lightning bolts with a thickness of more than 1 meter shot out from the horns on Leogood's head, like golden thunder dragons flying toward the ice flower in wavy trajectories. However, Binghua is not without countermeasures. Rather, in terms of controlling energy, the genetic engine of the super warrior has a great advantage. As long as you have strong enough computing power and enough time, you can completely guide the entire planet with the smallest amount of force. The power of nature. This is the case at this moment. The large thunderclouds in the sky created by Leogood provide good location for Binghua. With Binghua's thunder drive, he only needs to guide the changes in the magnetic field to guide the thunder above his head. When Leogood's golden lightning struck the wind, dozens of lightning flashes struck down from the billowing dark clouds that kept flashing blue thunder in the sky, forming a large-scale super thunderstorm. Golden and blue lightning met in the air, and the burst of light illuminated a radius of dozens of kilometers, while simultaneously making a violent explosion like a collapse of the sky. The lightning clash only lasted for an instant, and then whether it was the golden lightning or the blue thunder that struck in the sky, they were all disturbed and turned into countless tiny lightnings that entangled with each other and dissipated in the air. Leogood below looked a little sluggish, as if the moment just now had consumed him a lot. Binghua was different. Apart from his brain being a little drowsy due to all the calculations he had just put in, there was no other consumption. Seeing that Leogood below was in poor condition, Binghua's eyes lit up and he suddenly swooped down. At the same time, he raised his right hand and pointed 2 fingers at Leogood below. Leogood didn't know why, but this didn't stop him from attacking. He raised his huge fist several meters wide, ready to hit the ice flower swooping down from the sky. But suddenly there was a crashing sound, and a chain that seemed inconspicuous to Leogood was suddenly wrapped around his raised arm, and then the sound of more intensive collisions of chains was heard. The god-beaming locks strengthened by Binghua shot out from the micro-wormhole and quickly passed through all parts of Leogood's huge body, performing various penetrations under Binghua's control. But Leogood didn't care at all. He had absolute confidence in his own strength. The warriors of the Titan civilization would never be weaker than anyone else in strength. But just when Leogood was about to punch, his body suddenly froze and he could no longer move. At the same time, there was the harsh grinding sound of the chain stretching. Binghua passed directly over Leogood, who was unable to move, and landed on a broken mountain peak dozens of meters behind him. He turned around and looked at Leogood and said, "You can't break free. It's better to say that you don't have a genetic engine. Unless you are strong enough to tear open the space and break the chains, you will only be able to keep doing this in the future." Leogood didn't know if he understood Binghua's words. He let out an ear-splitting roar, and at the same time, his whole body trembled and tried to break free of the divine lock. The God Beam lock was carried out of the micro-wormhole and connected to Tianjian's main base in the Kra galaxy. It was comparable in mass to a small planet, so there was no way Leogood could pull it. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 157. Just when Leogood was trying to break free from the divine locks wrapped around his body, Binghua didn't just watch from the sidelines. A flaming sword with a sacred language engraved on the sword that was much more complex than those held by the guardian angels came out of the wormhole with the crisp sound of a long sword being unsheathed, and was held by Binghua in one hand. Introduce stellar energy driving formula, dark energy driving formula, mix and match, and prepare for flame bombing. Binghua is now using the special attack method Kesha used last time, the extremely powerful flame bombing technique. Because of the research and dismantling of this technology during this period, it is not difficult for Binghua to use it. Originally, Binghua planned to apply this attack mode to the Thunder Driver. But the golden armored titan in front of him could control thunder energy to a certain extent. Binghua estimated that the thunder-driven attack would have little impact on it, so he directly used Kesha's flame bombing. In addition to the fact that there is nothing major to be busy with on the Skull Planet in the front-end time, Binghua now has more than 50 flaming swords with various driving formulas written in sacred languages engraved on them in his arsenal. The sacred language engraved on each of these flaming swords can perform different functions, including those related to the gravitational field, as well as dark energy, creating cold air, and gathering stellar energy. It can be said that the functions in Binghua's arsenal are the flaming sword contains all the energy-driven attacks that Hakua knows now. What Binghua is holding now is one of the flaming swords with the flaming bombing formula engraved on it. The red high-temperature energy is bred in the sword body, and the violent stellar energy and dark energy are forcefully fused together under the constraints of the ice bloom, and it seems that it will explode at any time. The next moment, the flaming sword was thrown out by Binghua, and it was nailed to the armor on the back of Liu Gud, who was restrained in place by the god-binding lock. Even the flaming sword loaded with flame bombardment did not penetrate Liu Gud's thick golden armor at once. I have to say that the concept of armor thickness is very marketable in any era. But in less than 10 seconds, Liu Gud's facial expression suddenly became distorted, and his struggle became more intense. Judging from his expression, it was obvious that he was holding back the pain. Even the shackles that bound him, they were all slightly embedded into the golden armor he wore. The huge roar sounded again, but this time it was full of painful emotions. The divine locks were stretched straight, as if they were about to break at the next moment. Behind Liu Gud's back, the originally bright golden armor was now red, and cracks that seemed to be flowing with magma were spreading inside, accompanied by a sizzling sound of burning flesh. Binghua was like a fanatical scientist at this moment, watching the scene and thinking. Kesha's set of flame bombardments is pretty easy to use, but is the body of a super soldier from an animal civilization so fragile? Can't he just withstand the high temperature that escapes? As time continued, the golden armor on Liu Gud's back melted away, revealing the burnt hair and skin inside. The Titan civilization will not let you go. All of you Kamigawa creatures will definitely die in the hands of the Titan King. It will definitely. Before Liu Gud could finish his words, more than 30 flaming swords pierced through the hole in his armor. In an instant, blood spurted out like a fountain. The amount of bleeding was extremely huge, and even a stream of blood formed beneath him. Just hearing a dull and loud bang, Liu Gud, who was originally standing to resist the pressure of the god-binding lock, no longer had the strength to maintain his stance, and fell to his knees. If it were not for the god-binding lock, Liu Gud at this moment, he has fallen to the ground. Binghua flapped her wings slightly, flew right in front of Liu Gud, and spoke in a very calm tone. Since you are unwilling to communicate with me, I have no choice but to take your body back to analyze and obtain the information. The Kamigawa and Titan King you mentioned have nothing to do with us angels, but if they dare to invade the Angel Nebula, I don't mind. I have a few more lives of your kind on my hands. Binghua's tone was matter of fact, as if he was recounting this fact. Liu Gud, whose breath was extremely weak, opened his mouth slightly but said nothing in the end, and just lost his voice. Because the dozens of flaming swords that Binghua mobilized from the arsenal just now had already cut Liu Gud's body to pieces. It was not easy for him to die after listening to Binghua's words. A high-ranking Titan in the Titan civilization died inexplicably in this star system that didn't even have a number. His death was extremely painful, and the person who killed him was unknown in the entire universe. Within the space of the huge facility built on the surface of the planet, angels flew by from time to time, and occasionally you could see the corpse of a giant over 7 meters tall. Binghua, led by 2 guardian angels, headed deep into the excavation well of the planet. Queen, after we captured this unknown large-scale facility, we found that it is a planetary excavation shaft with a very simple design. It is a large-scale fixed mining excavation facility specifically designed to exploit resources at the core of the planet. Binghua felt a little strange when she heard the explanation from the guardian angel. This type of mining method has been abandoned by angels tens of thousands of years ago. These beast body civilizations are not weak, so why are they still using this method? But these only flashed through Binghua's mind, and then she asked the question she was most interested in. Did you find anything special here? Yes, Queen. When we attacked, we found that they defended a place very tightly. After annihilating all the giants, we discovered an extremely dense silver ore in their warehouse. One sister also tested the hardness of the flaming sword and found that it could not be broken at all. So Queen, is this the special ore you are looking for? Binghua looked a little excited when he heard this. If what the guardian angel said was not exaggerated, then it would be correct. After flying for several minutes in this planetary excavation shaft that seemed to have all the tools magnified 7 to 8 times, Binghua finally arrived at the location mentioned in the words of the guardian angel. The thick black metal door was open to both sides. There were still piles of giant corpses that had not been cleaned up around them. Binghua didn't care and stepped directly into the door. The first thing that caught the eye was the rows of giant weapons placed against the wall, most of which were spears, giant swords, and battle axes. Beyond these and piles of semi-finished weapons, on the innermost high platform, there are more than 30 pieces of irregular silver ore, larger than a human head, mixed with black impurities. There is an abnormal glow on it. Cool metallic luster. Just standing around these ores, Binghua felt that the temperature seemed to have dropped a little, but that was not important anymore. Binghua took a deep breath before slowly spitting out a few words. Finally found you. Dark silver ore. I'm a little busy at work today, and I didn't sleep well yesterday, so there's only one update, so don't wait any longer. Perfect attendance is gone, degree Omega degree. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 158. After leaving the planet excavation shaft, Binghua immediately ordered the shielding of the dark information of the star system to prevent the leakage of information about the dark silver mine, and at the same time sent angels to patrol the periphery of the star system. Then there is the calculation of the losses in this small-scale conflict. The first is the Sky Sword Legion. Because they obtained part of the giants' information in advance, only a dozen warriors died in this battle. The injured soldiers received adequate treatment after the war and recovered perfectly without leaving any sequelae. But Binghua couldn't be happy about this result. This was a completely crushing battle, but there were still inevitable casualties. The main reason was that the population of the angel civilization was too small in Binghua's opinion. There is absolutely no comparison with the Earth civilization, which had a population of more than 6 billion in the previous life. It should be said that the specialty of Earth's people is indeed their ability to give birth. It is obviously capable of ruling a nebula-level advanced civilization, but the total population does not exceed 100 million. Of course, this is due to the long lifespan of angels and their relatively slow reproduction, but on the other hand, it is also due to the constraints of social form. When there is no pressure in life and lifespan becomes extremely long, offspring become dispensable. This results in a couple in the angelic civilization only giving birth to 1 to 2 offspring on average in their lifetime, and some even no offspring will be produced at all. In addition, although the angel civilization cannot be called a warlike race, it is definitely not the kind of vegetarian animals that can stay peacefully in their own territory. In places beyond the angel nebula, in those civilizations that had been defeated by angels and could only kneel down and surrender, angels were savage plunderers, cruel and ruthless conquerors, and the embodiment of violence and barbarism. The long-term battles during the Huaikuei period have certainly stabilized the status and voice of the angel civilization in the Angel Nebula and surrounding civilizations, but they have also kept the total population of the angel civilization at close to 100 million. This has also made the angel civilization the scope of his rule can only stop at the Angel Nebula. Of course, Binghua can't change all of this, but he only expresses his feelings. Binghua only hopes that this war between angels can end soon, and that he can escape and take a good look at this vast universe, and see things that he has never seen before. The mysterious scenery I have seen. Binghua did not immediately return to the Skull Galaxy to sit at the center of the Sky Sword Legion, but stayed in this star system. This made Angel Ran, the current military commander of the Sky Sword Legion, very worried. He was afraid that Herglass, who was stationed at the border, would suddenly have a brain attack and take the opportunity to attack the Skull system. If so, the Sky Sword Legion would undoubtedly be very passive without the command of the Sky Sword King Binghua. More than half a month has passed since the battle with the golden armored Titan Leo Good. The 10,000 Heavenly Sword Legion soldiers led by Binghua, under Binghua's order, took over the planetary excavation shaft, a large-scale facility left by the giants. Began to continue mining dark silver mines. However, the result was not very gratifying. There seemed to be not much dark silver ore in the huge rocky planet at the foot of Binghua. After more than 10 days, less than 20 tons of dark silver ore had been mined, and there was no more dark silver ore after that. Not a shred of dark silver has been mined. This is just a quantitative unit, please don't take it too seriously. You must know that the density of the form dark silver itself is very high. 20 tons of dark silver ore after refining can only be used to cast at most 5 dark silver heavy swords. This made Binghua's idea of building an arsenal of dark silver weapons go bankrupt, and he was depressed for several days. But this emotion was soon forgotten by Binghua, because the materials for the Ansu Silver King sword in Binghua's design were finally ready, and there were even some left. A part of the Sky Sword Legion was left to continue mining the planet, and most of the Sky Sword Legion soldiers followed Binghua's Sky Blade on their way back to Star Skull. Binghua felt a wave of relief all over his body as he set foot on the Heavenly Sword Corps' headquarters again in the asteroid belt of the Cross system. Whether it was the Mir star system or the royal city on the Skull Star, Binghua felt that neither was as comfortable as staying at the Tianjian base. Queen, welcome back. In front of the Legion Conference Hall, which is now the Hall of the Heavenly Sword King's Court, 2 female angels holding war spears and standing guard stood upright and raised their hands on their chests to salute. Binghua smiled and nodded at them. Thanks for your hard work. Queen, it's not hard. It was the first time for the 2 female angels on guard to speak to the queen they admired, and their voices were trembling with excitement. Because boring jobs such as standing guard or patrolling are rotated in the Heavenly Sword Legion, which allows ordinary angel warriors to have a lot of time to study combat skills and knowledge. Therefore, this was the first time for these 2 female angels to see their queen Binghua so close. They felt that the queen was not as aloof as the legend said, and she seemed very friendly. Binghua came to the hall of Tianjian Royal Court, turned around and sat on his throne, and started to contact Hexi directly. Soon Hexi's projection appeared in front of Binghua, but because Binghua contacted Hexi through the borrowed Tianjian base system, Hexi appeared as a full-body projection this time. Hexi's long silver hair was hanging down to one side. He was wearing a battle armor that symbolized the identity of the Angel King. He was holding a flat screen in his hand and calculating something, his eyes never leaving it. Binghua. Why did you suddenly contact me, sister? Is there something you don't understand? Binghua changed to a more comfortable sitting position. Sister Hexi, if you have nothing to do, can't I come and disturb you? I don't know who you are. Tell me, what's the matter? I'm busy right now without looking at your sister. Seeing how busy he 11 was, Binghua gave up the idea of going roundabout ways and spoke directly. Sister Hexi, have you received any news about the Dark Silver Mine recently? When Binghua asked, his eyes drifted slightly to the side, feeling guilty. At the same time, he was still a little hopeful, hoping that Hexi would answer yes, but it was obvious that the reality was a bit disappointing for Binghua. No, I'm currently busy perfecting the first-generation God-making project, so I don't have time to worry about the problem of the Dark Silver Mine. But Binghua, you don't have to worry too much. I have asked Keisha to pay attention to the news about the Dark Silver Mine. When I find the Dark Silver Mine, I will never forget you and will definitely leave a copy for you secretly. Hearing this, Binghua's heart warmed up, and at the same time she felt ashamed of her previous desire to hide the news that she had obtained the Dark Silver Mine. That Sister Hexi, I recently got a batch of Dark Silver Mines. Before Binghua finished his hesitant words, Hexi paused for a moment, then suddenly looked up at Binghua. What did you say? Say it again. Okay, I just got a batch of dark silver ore, a lot of it, about 40 tons or so. Binghua also broke the jar. After saying this, he felt relieved, and the previous feeling of being unable to get up or down disappeared instantly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 159. When he 11 heard the weight of dark silver ore in Binghua's words, he was stunned. There were so many. Where did you get the dark silver mine? Or did you go to Tiancheng to rob Hua yet? No, Sister Hexi, if I really had that ability, I would have invaded Tiancheng long ago and kicked that scumbag Hua Ye off the throne. How could I sit here and chat with you as calmly as I do now? He 11 nodded and thought so he started to ask curiously. That is how the matter. So Binghua told He 11 that his team accidentally discovered a dark silver mine and was attacked by an unknown civilization. He led his troops to find a place and finally discovered a large amount of dark silver mines. Titans, I seem to have seen relevant descriptions of this civilization in Tianquan's database. It is a very powerful animal civilization. However, I remember that the star field they are in is far away from the Angel Nebula. How could they get to the Angel Nebula, near the nebula? Hexi's words surprised Binghua. There was actually a record of this civilization in the Angel Civilization's information. I obtained some information after killing the being who claimed to be a superior titan, but it will take some time to decipher it now. Sister Hexi, can you send me a copy of the information on this civilization? This is not difficult. I will pass it on to you later. But the physical characteristics of the golden armored titan you mentioned are quite interesting. Can he control dark energy even though he is not a super soldier? This subject is very research-oriented. Hexi put her finger on her chin and spoke. This was her habit when she was deep in thought, but in the end Hexi skipped the topic and turned to the dark silver mine. Binghua, let us now discuss the issue of dark silver mines. It just so happens that your sister and I lack a matching sword. I want half of the dark silver mines in your hand. He 11 smiled evilly, and the corners of Binghua's eyes twitched, feeling his heart bleed. Sister, you are too cruel. I want half of it. Are you still my sister? He 11 raised a finger and showed a confident smile. Weapon engine manufacturing technology will exchange you for 20 tons of dark silver ore. This is a high-end technology that I have only recently cracked. With this, the operability of your projectile weapons will be improved by several levels. You will definitely not lose. Binghua's face was tangled. Although he knew that even if he didn't agree, He 11 would soon pass on the information about this technology, but he was just itchy. Binghua actually started cracking the weapon engine manufacturing technology more than 100 years ago when he was still at Mello College. However, because there was no supporting prerequisite knowledge, Binghua has been stuck on the most basic part. Hexie just looked at Binghua's tangled look quietly. She was very confident in her bargaining chip. If it came to other technologies, Binghua might continue to bargain with her, but this was the only one about weapon manufacturing technology. Click, Hexie is extremely sure that Binghua will take the bait. Because of Binghua's fanaticism and obsession with weapon manufacturing, no one knows it better than Hexie. In the end, after a period of psychological struggle, Binghua finally gave up the resistance and looked like a dead eggplant. In fact, Binghua knew very well that he 11 wanted so much dark silver mine not all for himself, but it definitely included Kesha and Liang Bing's share. Apart from he 11, who has the closest relationship with Binghua, Liang Bing, who has an out-of-touch personality, may be the only one who can shamelessly ask for something as precious as dark silver mine. But Kesha was the only one who would not do this. She would never ask Binghua for such strategic level resources unless she exchanged things for them. But if these dark silver mines are in the hands of Huaye, Kesha will do anything to get them, even if they are robbed, but if they are in the hands of her sisters, Kesha will never have any thoughts. Although she and Kesha we didn't get along for long, but this was the image of Kesha in Binghua's mind. After completing the handover task of the dark silver mine, one thing attracted Binghua's attention, that is, some information obtained from the Golden Titan was successfully deciphered. Among them, there were several diary-like information that made Binghua very shocked. Those who are weak, greedy, cowardly, please forgive me for not knowing how to describe the numerous shortcomings of such weak creatures. But these weak creatures began to develop rapidly with the help of a civilization called Kamigawa, and gradually became able to compete with our affiliates. Those weak creatures began to call themselves Kamigawa creatures, and united under the guidance of Kamigawa civilization, and began to offend the Great Titan clan. We have underestimated the potential of the Kamigawa civilization. Their numerical base is huge. If a god dies, a replacement god can be quickly recultivated. The Titans alone cannot eliminate all Kamigawa creatures. The Titan God King began to call on all the subordinate races under his command to prepare to prevent the Kamigawa creatures from continuing to grow in strength, because their potential was too terrifying. It takes 500 years for the Titans to grow from larvae to adulthood, but it only takes less than 200 years for the Kamigawa creatures to give birth to a god. If this continues, the Kamigawa creatures will become another triangular civilization. It may be that it was incomplete when it was recovered, and the deciphered data was directly translated, so the reading is not complete and very incoherent. There is no reason why Titan hates the so-called Kamigawa creatures. But Binghua remembered several nouns that appeared frequently in the information, especially the Titan God King, the Divine River and the triangle that appeared at the end. However, Binghua didn't care too much about all the above, because they were too far away from the angelic civilization. After that, Binghua began a new round of immersed in seclusion. Binghua, who had obtained the weapon engine technology, brought out a very special weapon idea he had long ago from the sealed corner of the laboratory. It is called the Angel Wings Arm Transformation Concept and the 7 Kills General Establishment Blueprint. More than 20 tons of dark silver ore can probably forge 6 flaming sword-sized épées, but Binghua does not intend to turn the precious dark silver into ordinary épées. The first is 7 kills. This inspiration suddenly emerged when the weapon was modified last time. However, due to the limitations of materials and technology, it had no choice but to be shelved. But now Binghua finally has the confidence to reproduce it. The other is the concept of Angel Wings Arm Transformation, which is mainly about the strengthening of angel wings. Not long after he first entered the battlefield, Binghua discovered a fatal weakness in himself, which was the angel wings on his back. Strictly speaking, angel wings are composed of a kind of simulated semi-physical energy. Whether you are a third-generation super soldier or a first-generation super soldier, the strength of the wings behind you is the same and can be easily destroyed. The concept of angel wing weapon transformation is how to turn the most vulnerable part of the angel's body into the strongest weapon on the body. Of course, ordinary materials cannot be too fragile, but the appearance of Ansuyan gave Binghua the opportunity to complete this possibility of modification. So Binghua began to verify these two assumptions. When Binghua was completed, it was the time when Binghua came out of the laboratory again. 2 years later. In 2 years, the boundary between the Skull Galaxy and the Sar Galaxy in the Angel Nebula has not changed much. The Heavenly Sword Legion and the Thrall Legion under the command of Tianye Kinghaglass did not like each other, but under the constraints of their respective kings, they resisted the idea of fighting. The reason for the dissatisfaction between the two sides is actually very simple. The male angel looked at the female angel of the Heavenly Sword Legion on the opposite side and kept drooling. Everyone knew what he had in mind without having to guess. The female angels are more direct, they are simply hostile. They feel extremely disgusted when the male angels look at them like that. They want to use the sword in their hands to let the other side know that they are not the female angels who can only be bullied by them. Compared to the calmness of the Skull Galaxy and the Sar Galaxy, other galaxies are extremely lively. Kesha successively destroyed the Tianzi King Huaji, and occupied the area under the former Tianshang King, Tianshu King, and Tian King. Now she joined forces with Liangbing and Hexi to attack Tianli King. The female angel keeps making big moves, and the Hui group doesn't stop either. It firmly occupies the central area of the Angel Nebula, recovering the losses incurred during the battle with the coalition forces, and is preparing to take advantage of the female angel's unsteady foothold to kill this one that has begun to emerge. Archenemy. The update resumes today. The Tiangong scroll has reached the late stage, and then it is the turn of the Four Kings scroll. This volume may be a bit slow to write, but it should be stronger later on. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 160. In the vast starry sky at the edge of the Skull Galaxy, 9 Skyblade battleships are connected together, like 9 continents floating in the void. Behind these 9 Skyblades, there is a white arch with exquisite carvings on a medium-sized meteorite. The blue energy film with faint ripples in the middle of the arch reveals the true function of this arch that is more than 10 meters high. Star Mark is a special fast space passage building built by the angel civilization. Its interior can be used by ordinary angels to travel quickly. However, because it takes a long time to build, it is not widely used in the Angel Nebula. However, hundreds of thousands of huge legions of the Heavenly Sword Legion gathered in this starry sky. In order to better organize the legions, the Solid Sky Sword Legion spent a certain amount of time building a medium-sized star mark. This star can serve as a navigation node for the Skyblade's long-distance space jump, and can also quickly transfer and transport the soldiers of the Sky Sword Legion, so it is firmly protected by the 9 Skyblades in the middle. Left guard, King Tianye of the SAR system has begun to mobilize troops frequently recently, and seems to be preparing to assist Queen Kesha on the battlefield. Do we want to interfere? A commander of the 3rd Legion under the Heavenly Sword Legion came to Angel Ran to report. Angel Ran only thought for a few seconds before coming to a conclusion. We can't just watch Hegrath go to support Huaxiang. Now the war between the Heavenly Blade King and Huaxiang is at a critical moment. We must hold back Hegrath's troops and wait for the day when the Queen comes out. Angel Ran dealt with many things in the past 2 years while studying weapons in his own laboratory at Binghua residence, and gradually developed a certain overall view. Although the Heavenly Sword King Kesha is not the king whom the Heavenly Sword Legion is loyal to, after all, he still belongs to the power of the female angel, so Ran would issue such an order. At the same time, during the past 2 years, the Heavenly Sword Legion firmly held the 800,000 Thrall Angel Legion of Tianyi King Hegrath at the border and could not move. Skyblade King Kesha took the opportunity to join forces with King Tiankai and King Tianji to launch a war of annihilation against Tianli King Huaxiang, one of the two most powerful expatriate kings today. However, the war did not go too smoothly. The millions of legions under Tian Liang were very strong, and the battle between the Skyblade Legion, the Apocalypse Legion and the Tianji Legion was extremely difficult. Even with the assistance of Dark Su silver weapons, Kesha could not turn the tide. Because of the disparity in the number of high-end third-generation warriors, the female angel side was in a weak state most of the time during the battle between the two sides. If Haglas joins the battlefield at this time, it will definitely be the straw that breaks the camel's back, not to mention the Hui group who is eyeing him. Huaye group is also wary of the movements of the Heavenly Sword Legion, because Hepolias, who once broke through the defense system of Tiancheng, now falls into Binghua's hands, so Huaye does not dare to send troops easily, otherwise if his hometown is stolen, Huaye had no place to cry. As a result, the Skull Galaxy, the Sar Galaxy, and the Angel Galaxy have maintained a balance for 2 years. However, due to Kesha's recent big actions, this balance is on the verge of breaking at any time. So after Haglas began to mobilize troops and showed an attitude of wanting to support Huaxiang, the Heavenly Sword Legion also began to mobilize troops. Under Angel Ran's order, half of the border guarding corps was deployed. Even the Sky Sword Corps, which was used to maintain the stability of the Mir Galaxy and the Skull Galaxy, also had a large number of troops deployed, maintaining only the most basic defense capabilities. As a result, the strength gathered by the Heavenly Sword Legion exceeded the 1.1 million mark for the first time. This is a strength that any Angel King must deal with carefully. At the same time, in order to prevent Haglas from supporting Huaxiang, 3 sub-legions under the Heavenly Sword Legion, with a total of 300,000 angel warriors, and 3 third-generation warriors entered the outermost area of the Sar Galaxy. Faced with this behavior that was almost provocative, Haglas couldn't help it and sent troops directly to scare him away. On the spot, the two parties engaged in a small battle in a star system numbered starting with LK on the outskirts of the Sar Galaxy. Both sides suffered a lot of losses, and no one took advantage of the other. However, it caused anger between Angel Ran and Haglas, and both sides began to increase their troops to the periphery of the star system at the same time. Seeing that a large-scale conflict was about to break out, Angel Ran held back in the end and ordered the Sky Sword Legion to withdraw to the Skull Galaxy. Angel Ran's concerns are simple. The main reason is that the Queen has not completed her weapon upgrade, and the Heavenly Sword Legion does not have the upper hand, so she wants to delay it for a while. But just like wild beasts confronting each other, when one party shows weakness and lack of confidence at first, the other party will never give up. The Angel Legion of the Sar system chased the retreating Heavenly Sword Legion all the way to the outskirts of the Skull system. Now the Angels were unable to retreat and had no choice but to fight. In an instant, the second largest battlefield in the Angel Nebula was created. Although its scale was not as large as the crusade against the Heavenly King launched by Kesha, it was still not small. There were nearly 1 million angel legions fighting in a melee, and it was difficult not to attract attention. Look at each one of them, their heads are bruised and bleeding. The entire Angel Nebula is in a mess. In the Heavenly Palace in the Heavenly City, in a hall where a large star map was projected, Huaye said mockingly, "King, isn't this what we want?" Now even the King of Heavenly Sword, who has been standing still, has been dragged into the quagmire of war. We are the only one who is immune. As long as they both lose, it is time for us to attack to clean up the mess of Angel Nebula. Chen Xing's words were still so convincing, but Huaye looked at the star map of the Skull Galaxy for a while. The scene where Binghua cut off his arm often appeared in his mind, and Huaye's expression gradually became ferocious. A few years have passed, but I still can't swallow this breath. No, the more I think about it, the angrier I am. I don't want to watch this time. I want to make that little bitch Binghua completely defeated. Chen Xin was a little helpless looking at Huaye's irritable appearance. He was usually fine, but as long as it involved matters involving Heavenly Sword King Binghua, Huaye would become like this. However, it is the duty of subordinates to take care of the king, and it is not difficult at all, so Chen Xin directly spoke. King, if you want the Sky Sword Legion to be completely defeated, it's very simple. You only need to send some of their troops to the Mir Galaxy to contain some of their troops. Huaye also understood what Chen Xin meant when he heard this, and his mood suddenly became much more comfortable. Let's collect some interest this time. Sooner or later, I will catch you. Looking at the two creations floating on the metal workbench in the laboratory, Binghua was extremely excited, because this was the culmination of more than 2 years of her hard work. The sword on the left has a jaw shaped like a spread of wings and a gorgeous heavy sword with vertical lines all over the sword that seem to have special meanings. It is the 7 kills. The second special creation is even more peculiar. It is a piece of metal feathers shining with silver luster. They are arranged neatly like a pair of unfolded angel wings.